right, so we're going to take this live. Okay. Okay, so we're live, we're back, and all right, let me set this up really quick. Set up the recap. This is happy hour that we're painting this week. Okay, this is our preliminary stuff. We have our, we decided on our reference. We decided how we wanted to crop it. Okay, then we gridded it. And then we did a little value study, simplifying the black, the white, and the gray on an index card. And I had you work intentionally small so that you would be forced to think so that you wouldn't get stuck in the weeds with all the details and start thinking about line. It forced you to think about, the shapes that the different values made. Okay, and it was in the same grid that we have here. So our next challenge is to take all of these decisions, composition, and everything else we studied with the value and the layout, and we're going to start putting it onto a canvas. So without further ado, let's get that started. So who needs a canvas? And who needs a okay. Amazon, done. Very light. And you know what? That's what slows me on these because when I travel, sometimes I travel a lot with stuff. I have other ones that are really heavy. Now, as you can see, pretty much in proportion with the format composition that we selected. So I'm going to keep it aside for reference. This I don't really need anymore. And I'm going to keep my little reference here. Hold on, you know what? move this over. I'm going to need room for you guys to see the palette. So put this up here. I'll put my little buddy up there. I'll move this up. I can move it up there. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I have pellets here. I have a disposable one. I give you a little squirt of while you're watching up there, I'll read you. You guys have the good. You guys have palette knife? All right. Larger flat arches. Here's a palette knife. You pay the time? Does everybody have? It's really. Cigars. I only have these close and I don't have those. Okay. All right, we will get you settled. Okay. We're gonna get Chris. Oh, yes. First, orange stars. No, as long as you put that same gray on there, then tells me you believe right.
Yeah, bigger than this.
Oh, yeah. I have to think. You have a bigger brush. That's your help. All right, which one? Oh, and then really a brush, like a round brush. Who needs a round brush? Okay. Really use a smaller brush, but what's that round brush? Well, every brand is different.
Oh, that. This.
To prevent customers from using a brush that's too, well, you have theirs. Okay. Yeah, these have, that, right. These are,
Yeah.
here to get whatever you need. You need more of something, you want to switch out one. I just picked the two that would be good to start, but just know that matters, we proceed, you're free to get up and get what you need. Therefore, it's, the buffet of supplies.
Thank you.
Okay, so our first step is now I'm gonna get out my brushes here, but use that to get it done faster. Okay, so I'm getting out the palette knife, and the first thing that I want to say is that whenever we mix our colors, we want to mix our colors with the palette knife instead of our brush. I mean, when you're getting down to the wire or to the nitty gritty details, it's okay to use a brush, but to mix, really, really small amounts of paint. But if you have to mix a lot of paint or a medium amount of paint, use the palette knife so that, because then the, because then all your paint won't get stuck in the brush. You end up wasting a lot of paint that way when you use the brush. And then it takes a long time to rinse it out. And also, if you want to use if you're going to use the same brush then to mix another color, there's always going to be a different color that's already in there that's going to muddy your color. So getting in the habit of mixing your paints with a palette knife helps you maintain cleaner colors and a less muddy palette. Okay. So our first thing here, our first lesson is I am using burnt sienna and cerulean blue to mix a warm gray. Well, to tone my canvas. You can use pure burnt sienna if you want to. I like to tone it down a little or neutralize it a little with the blue because burnt sienna is dark orange. On the color wheel, blue and orange are opposites. So that means that, you have a bright blue, a loud blue, and a loud orange. When you mix those two together, they quiet one another. They either your colors get browned out or grayed out whenever you mix opposites on the color wheel. So, whenever you want mud, mix opposites on the color wheel. When you don't want mud, don't mix opposites on the color wheel, or a combination of all three primaries, which in essence, what mixing opposites are, right? Because orange is red and yellow, and then there's blue. So technically, whenever you mix a brown or a gray or a black, it, in theory, is some combination of all three of the primaries. So, again, all right, so I want to tone my canvas. I want it to be a little bit on the warm side because it's kind of a warm, happy painting, even though it's a still life. But I do want to tone it down a little bit, so I'm going to take some of that blue, right? And you can see how it's already just getting a little bit browner. See that? It's not as intense. So I can neutralize it a little bit more because we can't go wrong by putting a neutral gray value on our canvas. Okay, so this looks about gray. So it's probably maybe the visual equivalent of uh, approaching equal amounts, but it's still got that warmth in it that I want. Okay, now it doesn't matter what ratio you use. You can literally use anything as long as it's not too. I don't want it to be too bright. Okay, so I'm going to take some water, and in order to tone our canvas, we want to be able to see through. Okay, so it's more or less going to be like a wash. And now I'm looking at this, I'm like, you know what? I think that's a little bit too brown. So you know what? It's my prerogative to change my mind. So I'm going to take a little bit more. I'm going to warm it back up just a little bit. Down to a little bit more gray. You would add more blue? Right, correct. Because the blue will cool it down and gray it out more. And you know what? I think I want it to be even warmer, so I'll just put more. So you could say like it's like a wash. Okay, I'm not. Okay, well then that means you need to add more water. You don't want to completely seal the canvas. You want to see the canvas through the paint. Right. Yes, you can do it right now. If you feel more confident watching me finish it without starting, then you can do that. The goal for me always is to, just get a thin, even layer that represents a gray value. Away for a minute because I know what always happens is I always end up splattering some of the really wet paint. So, and I'm going to paint around the outside edge. I always like to have the option of not needing a frame in the end. If when I'm painting, if I paint around the outside edge, then I have the option of just hanging it up without a frame, right? Hmm? Gray or brown? It can be brown. It can be warm. There aren't any rules for what color you could tone your canvas. You can't go wrong with gray though. Gray is kind of like it's like it's a universal. Um, if it's still brown and you want to approach gray, then you need to add more blue. But our goal here is, to get a color that has the value of a gray, but without being necessarily the color gray, right? That's why we call it toning the canvas. It's more about you just trying to put a value on it. Well, for for different effects, you can use different different colors. Like you can do you can tone it blue. You can tone it pink. I've seen some artists that paint beach scenes. They like to tone their canvas pink for some reason. So there's some artistic license that can do this too. I'm having you do it this way because making it, like a brown or a warm brown, it's kind of it's one of those colors that you can use in just about any situation, whether it's a landscape or a still life. It'll work as a color, a ground color for just about any type of subject, even portraits. So I go, sometimes I'll take it down if to try to even it out. I'll, take it down and then I'll take it across again.
So the idea of what colors to make comes from the color wheel.
Yes, it does come from the color wheel. A combination of what we know about color theory and about, the colors that we observe in nature, along with our preferences. It all has, it all factors into our decision about how we're going to approach our painting. So some of us might have more gray, and some of us might have more brown. As long as you don't completely seal the canvas and it's not really dark and that is gray, it reads as a gray value, you're good. Hmm? And when you're done with that bigger brush, um, actually, apply it thinner. The color's okay. All right. Okay. We'll see if there's no, I don't know how much water you use. Well, that's something that you learn by doing. I know how much. Okay. Yeah, that's what you want. And you can, okay. Because you have plenty of paint on there. Okay. I think it's a matter of just taking some water and out and moving it around. And then, all right. Like, guys, it's not too dark. Yes. You can use some of the blue paint towel that's cloth like, and if you need to wipe off or blot out what's on it, or some extra, that. It's also a great thing. You can also spread paint around on it and wipe it off. If you use a standard paper towel, it's going to pill up and then that's going to dry into your paint. Hmm? Um, You could buy them at the hardware, at any hardware store like Home Depot. Costco has them. But at the grocery store, you can use, the cloth like Viva paper towels. You can use those. Those are similar. I do think that the Scott towels have a softer feeling than the Viva ones. When I compare them, it's a nice they're a nice towel that disposable towel that it handles like a rag, more like a rag. But now you could also use a rag. If you have like if you have like old rags, you could always use them too. Yeah. Yes, yes. So if you are familiar with drawing, because I know that you're big into drawing, it would be just like if you were to tone your paper with charcoal or graphite, the same effect. If you're going to do like a reductive method. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you could also tone your own paper. You have that, yeah, you have that option too. You don't have to buy pre-tone paper. You can create your own, either with charcoal dust or graphite dust.
Oh,
And you know what's nice about that? What's beautiful about that is that you can take, like an eraser and draw into it and pick up light, and you get a beautiful atmospheric effect that way in your drawings. So if you're really into drawing, I think you would love the experience of being able to do that, because it really does create a beautiful effect, soft effect. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So once we have our ground, okay. Now I have some of the darker, a little bit darker of paint left. So I rinsed out the brush. Okay. Now I want to take the round or I could use a filbert, but I think I'm going to just take, I could use a small filbert or a round, and smaller round, and then we're going to put in a rule of thirds grid or other grid, whatever grid you use. If you use a different type of grid to help you lay out your drawing in your little sketch, then you could use that. And the way I like to put in the rule of thirds grid is, what I'll do is I'll try to eyeball what what a third of the way over is, and then I'll take my brush and I'll use the handle as that length, and I'll see if I can get across it two more times. Oh, you see, that's not enough. So what I'll do is I need to make it. I didn't make it. So, all right, so I'll test that again. Okay, let's see. If I measure that out, will I get over two? And that is almost right. So I would say it's just a little bit farther this way. Let's see. So use the handle of your brush is a great, you could use it as a measuring tool. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'll go to the, the middle, and I'll make a mark there, and then a mark there at the center of the canvas, and then at the top here and here. And then this way I can, connect the dots. So this would be a lot easier if I was vertical. Well, I'm going to make it lighter. Actually, let me blot this. The idea is to make it dark enough so that you could see it, but light enough so that it'll get painted over eventually and it'll just fade into the rest of the picture. So you can put it on Here, let me put that on later. So let's see. So I have that. Now mine's going to be pretty bold because I'm trying to make sure that you could see what I'm doing. Might be a little bit too far over. Oh well. All right. So here, let's see. So I got that, and I'm gonna that. There we go. That. To bring that. Make a correction, and I can do that. Now, the other thing you could do is just wipe out. If your background is light enough, if it's wet enough, you can take a clean brush then and just wipe through it, and then this way you won't have to worry about a line at all. So you have that option too. See that? So I wiped it out instead of adding. But again, you use your brush as a unit of measure. So I did it. I divided it horizontally in thirds. Now I want to divide it vertically in thirds. So first, I'm going to eyeball that. Hmm? It doesn't matter what grid you use as long as you're consistent from your sketch and your painting. And yours is, let's see.
Square. So, yours 4 and yours 3.
Okay.
Now, but these aren't necessarily the same shape. This one is taller relative to its length.
Where's the triangle?
But I threw it away because it didn't. I threw it a little smaller. So I pull that there. Close enough.
I don't think you need to be that, yeah, you don't need to be that precise. It's okay if you Okay. So here, let's see. If I can do this quick enough, then I can wipe out the my grid instead of let's see.
And you just eyeball on.
Well, whatever I measure out, I then take it and transfer it. Like so here, I know that I can wipe that out, right? Because it's the right length, right? And then then all I have to do is connect the dots. I got myself across, see that? So now, I'm going to take this larger brush on the chisel edge. Like that. And you know what? You're going to notice that whatever I do is probably not going to be perfect, but that's because I'm more concerned about just getting the overall, layout, overall like type of landmarks, and you want a painting that has some character and is loose. If I'm trying to get it just like the photograph, well then that your own hand isn't going to be in it, or the way you see things isn't going to be in it. You might as well just, make a canvas print of the photograph, right? I mean, we want to get close, but we don't have to go crazy. Now, you could spend hours, trying to get a perfect drawing and then transferring the drawing to the exact scale onto the canvas. But I can guarantee you it's not going to be as adventurous as doing it like this. Or as fun. Because by doing this, it actually it strengthens your ability to execute a painting much quicker than if you're constantly living in the weeds and worrying about every little detail. And you know what? The viewer is going to feel that. I notice that, I have, artist friends where when you look at their paintings, it's not an enjoyable experience because you know that it looked like they labored over it, and maybe even reworked and worked it too much. Like there's something about that, like the painting can lose something. Yeah. But, huh?
It's very hard to know when to stop.
It is. It is. Yeah. Of course, I would never say that any of it's easy, but it's not easy. But we can make it more fun. So, we're in part not just because we want to copy a picture, but because we want it to be a an enjoyable experience too. Yep. Feel free to. Yep. I know why I knew there was a reason why I like the copies. And you know what? I like that. I like wiping out the grid. I think that was a good choice. That whatever I put on it is going to be. It's going to be good. So can anybody guess what we're going to do next?
Darks and lights.
Okay, so the first thing is um, we already have our, you know, our grid, and we already have a gray value, right? Somewhat of a gray value. So our next step is we're just going to put in, we're going to lightly sketch in first, the different shapes that we see. Then we're going to, put in, a darker gray, the darker gray shapes. Then we'll put in our darkest darks and our lightest lights. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can start with if if this back, probably too dry now. See, you have more time when you have oil, when you're working in oils than you do with acrylic, so we're not going to be able to do that. But if this were oils, okay, just think about this, keep this in your memory bank. If you have oils and you like to work in oils, you could wipe out the lights that you see. Okay, and since you have the grid, it's easy to determine those shapes and what their proportions are by looking at, your reference and your value study. Okay, but first what I'll do is, okay, I'm going to take. Does everybody have their grid? Has everybody got it? That's okay. Either one. You know what? Yours isn't that dark, so it's not going to be a problem. We're going to put layers of paint on this. Oh, good. All right. Everybody hold up their, hold up. Let's take a look. See what you got. Okay. Looking pretty good there. Yeah. Oh, she's already started sketching. All right. Good. She already had a tone canvas. She came with one. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to still be working with our burnt sienna combination and our blue. Okay. So I'm going to use my round brush, and I'm going to start like sketching in the different shapes. Like I know that my table line is somewhere back here, right? So I can plug that in.
Are you doing that with brown?
Yep, I'm just doing it with the brown, the similar brown that I use to tone the canvas, except I'm putting it on a little thicker. I still don't want it to be too thick. We want to work in thin layers, I would say. And I'm just going to get, the basic shapes here. Now there's, okay, so here I'm going to wipe that out. Let's see. So I know I got that. That's good. And let's see. And I'm going to, like this area over here, for now, I'm just going to treat that as one gray area and go around the bowl. But I might put in the parameters of the bowl. So let's see. I know the bowl ends somewhere over here, so I can make that. And I know, like, compare your angles. You got an angle there, angle here. And if you're working vertically looking at the still life, it's the equivalent of, okay, now I have a different point of view from where I am, but I could generalize the way that bowl tapers. I can generalize that with one line, and I can judge what that angle is by taking, let's just say, I'm looking straight at, I can take my brush, hold it up to get the angle, and then transfer that angle right to if I'm working vertically. But in this case, since I'm working flat and I'm working from the reference, I could do the same thing with the photo here. And here, let's see. Let me take this. I'll put the photo next to it so that you can see better. Okay, so here, there's that angle, and I got that angle there. And let's see how it's this way, and then it comes, then I could see how it extends, the angle changes. So I'm being angular first, right? And I know that bowl is kind of it's on a slant this way. The bottom of the bowl kind of slants this way for me. Right? And I also know that it's a scalloped edge. There's a scalloped edge to this bowl, so I'm going to be very angular with that too. Even though it's slightly curved, I'm not going to worry about the curves. I want to just get, you want to focus on shapes and angles. The shapes and angles. Don't worry so much about curves. Curves will come later. If you focus on shapes and angles, then the drawing will be more technically correct. Reserve the curves for later. Approximate. It's more important to get the angle because that's harder to get than rounding out the curves later. Okay. All right. So I have this is more like a vertical. I have this over here, and then that's coming up. It's another angle, another angle, another angle, angle, and then this comes up like that, that, that. And I could see this is all like kind of on a slant. See that? And then I have to remember too to keep that here. Where's the center line? The center line is like this. So I can plop in a center line and that can help me too. I don't have to worry too much about those types of things being visible because when you're painting, every mark that you make is considered a correction. Okay? So here, it's more important that you get it all in. You can worry about being perfect later. So I got in that little bowl. I'm not worried about the little details of the, you know, this is yet, although I do want to put them in. Let's see. Okay, so so then I have that shadow, so I can mark where the now what I'm doing is, again, I'm looking at the angle even in the shadow. See, that changes. Just because it's a bowl, it doesn't mean that I'm looking at an ellipse for elliptical shape for a shadow. For the bowl, it has a shape too. It has flat, it has flat edges. It has uh, straight edges. So I put that in. And then too, again, there's a shadow behind that bowl that has a shape. So I can put that in, right? This shadow here, I can capture those angles. I'm being angular about that too. That angle here, that angle there. You see where it comes up. There's the cloth. The cloth has a ripple in it. So I'm capturing that. And again, I'm going with the angles. Angles, angles, angles. It's all about the angles. And there's another little triangle over here from where it slopes, the fabric comes up and then it falls back down, that fold. And there's this triangle shadow shape that's created. So I can put that in. And as you go along, you can make it just a little bit darker to show that shape, help you figure that shape in even more. Because it's absolutely easier to see something in terms of shapes rather than purely a line. And that shadow comes around here. And there's the book, although I can just probably approximate that for now. Okay, so I'm getting in shadow shapes. Let's see, I'm going to get this one in right here. Let's get that established. I want to thin it out a little bit. I don't want to get too dark too quick. So I'm going to take some of that shadow out of there. I don't want to get too dark. Okay. Oh, and let's see, I'm going to wipe out some of that bottom where that kiss is. Let's see. Maybe, just maybe, if I'm able to, I can scrub out the shape of that kiss. If you're able to wipe some things out, you can go go ahead and do that. But let's see. So I'm going to go over here. Before I put in the shadow shape of that glass, I think I want to define where that is. And I want to draw, I want to make a reference to that center line first. But I want to use some really thin paint. The center line is just to the left of that grid. So I'm going to put that in. Put that vertical, drop that vertical in. Way down there. Let's see. I know that the fold of that cloth comes around here, comes that way, and then it goes down like this. So I know where the bottom of the glass is. I'll make that a little bit darker. So here's that, the fold in the cloth. That has a shape. I just want to mark where that is because I know that I'm going to have to, and then it kind of hugs, it'll hug the glass up here a little bit. Let's see, do I have that? You know, it actually slopes down a little and comes up like that. Okay. And then I know by looking here, let's see, it flares out a little bit at the bottom. Let's get that bottom of the glass. And then let's see, it comes from behind like this, and it over straddles that line over here. Okay, and where does it go down? How thick? It's about, oh, it actually comes down to about here, that way. And it comes around here. Okay, so so I'm still being a little bit geometric here, even though I know, okay, that glass, you know, it has an ellipse, pretty much an elliptical shape. But there's almost like this bulbous, where the stem attaches to the bottom of the glass. It's almost like there's a little hump there, like it raises up. I'm going to make a little reference to that. And then we're going to come up, I want to say, the bowl of the glass, I would say starts, if I go 2/3, if I divide this length in this square here into thirds, that's approximately where the bottom of that glass is. So I'm going to make that reference mark, right? And then I know that it tapers down from the bottom of the bowl part, and then it gets thinner, right? That's the thinner part of the stem. So make that and that. And then it comes up and meets the bowl of the glass. So there's different parts to the glass that I want to make reference to. And then let's see, I can mark on this square here in my grid, okay, how wide, where does the edge of that glass come in? Center. So let's just say it's about there, right? And then I know, since I have my center line, I can measure that with my brush, right? Measure that from the center line to that, and then I can take that, and now I know where I need to transfer that. So now I'll have, you know, it'll be symmetrical. I know what I need to do to make it more symmetrical. There we go. So then I can mark this. I'm going to mark that. Okay. And it still comes out, if I had to say what the end was, it comes out a little bit above that line before it comes to, it actually, at the top of the glass, it tapers up a little bit. So where is, okay, so the top of the glass, I'm going to extend this up a little bit. What? Finish that. How's it going? Okay. Right? Of the bowl is kind of like this. Kind of like on an angle. And then if it's on an angle, then this is. That has to be, those lines, this one has to be this one. That's, that improves. So it's about, okay, so here, like, okay, so now you can figure this out. And so you got this triangle, like there's a triangle there, triangle shape there.
Yeah.
Put that in. Put in the angles of the book.
Yeah, that would help.
I would say, you know, you do that, and then you're gonna have to put in the glass. So, even for the glass.
Probably is more foreground, so
Yes.
put that going first.
Yeah, which is kind of what I've done now. I haven't done the books, I'm putting in the glass. Now, in your case, the stem of that glass is pretty, very close. So it's actually gonna be pretty easy to do from that point of view. 'Cause let's see, the bottom of the, if you make the landmarks, the bottom of the glass is there. You know that. And the stem starts probably about here, tapers up, and let's see, the bottom of the glass is about, the bottom of the bowl is about here, it is about here. And then the top of the glass is here, and then the ellipse is not there. So, you know, back out your landmarks first, and then you can put in the rest of it. I think it would be good if you put, put a picture up, or this way, you'll be able to, to judge, angles better. If you're, if you have both the picture and the canvas vertical. All right. Oh, okay.
Well, we try to take it all off.
Oh, okay. No problem. All right. So let's see. Okay. So what we have here is, let's see. Okay. So the thing about the bowl is is a little bit on an angle. Right? Not that you have to put it in, but like it's good. Whenever you have an object like this, it's good to put in the center line. Right? Put in the center line, and then it's easy to judge the symmetry that you're supposed to have. Right? So like there's a little bit on the bottom. Right? I think that's okay. Right. And there's a little bit, there's the thing on the bottom that it rests on. Yeah. How do you check? We'll set the line down here, down the glass. So again, when you're doing the glass with the stem, try to do a center line and make for the object, and you can check your symmetry by using your brush to measure from the center line to the outside end. First, I guess, the bowl of the glass, the stem of the glass, and the base of the glass. Make sure that you have symmetry on all sides. Let's see. I think that the stem is short. The stem is too short. I think the bowl of the glass has to be up over. It's about a, I would say, that's about, yeah, so it's above, so you can above that. The bottom of the bowl of the glass is above the halfway mark. Yeah, the hooks are a little challenging. Yeah, like, yeah. So, since you're working vertical, it's easier to check your angles if your picture is also vertical. So, so in this case, okay, so whether it's checking the angle on the bottom of the glass, or the books, then that's a lot easier. By, you know, yes, I'd say, check your symmetry. Okay. Because this is a, check your angles. So you got an angle this way, but it's not, this side doesn't mirror that. So just little things like that. But again, with acrylics, you know that it dries and that we can cover it. And every mark is a correction. So if you don't feel confident in your drawing, you don't really have to worry about that because every time we put paint on that canvas, it improves things. You can make a correction. Cover. There's opportunity to make everything better. I'm sure I will do it. Okay. Now, look at this whole square. Where is the bottom of the bowl of the glass? Over here. Okay, yeah, it's above. And actually, in the center is, it's a little bit above. Yeah. That's how you judge that. And the same thing here, like with your angles, like the bowl is a little bit. Okay. So, right, so it's actually, it's kind of skewed a little bit this way. But not that you have to put it that way, however, that bowl, if I take a look at angle there. Yeah. And then that goes there, right? Yeah. And then I take this angle here, and then you can, make them, if you would justify, have that here, and my top, that angle there, that's this, and, okay. So how do I judge that this is correct? Well, again, it's all about angle. If you have an angle like this over here, if I transfer that over, how is that different than what I have on the wall? Like, it starts to flatten out here. Yeah, right, that's pretty, so, yeah, and then this angle here, the top starts here, so we need to just lower that distance. So, what we can do is, all right, so if the bowl, all right, so the bowl's that tall, right? And, I'm sorry. Oh, I think I got this right. So, here, let's see, so, there, and let's, I think that, because I'm, painting. I must be okay, so I just think that, okay, so it's just a matter of, okay, where comes here? So, that's about, let's say, so that's going to be this, so, and this, that, well, that wasn't that far off. Well, I'm making it work for you, because, yeah, actually, yeah, okay, so it's gotta be tapered, I think that what's not. Oh, very easy. Yeah, I made it too, right, this one goes deeper. So here we go. Okay, let's do this. So this one is correction right here. Okay. And then the bottom of the bowl, that little lip on the bottom is right there. Okay. And then it stops there. And then it goes up. It comes up this way. Okay, so I think that we're getting closer. There we go. So, okay. Well, right now, all right, now this is gonna be higher. So I think this thing comes up to here. Yeah, I think that where we went a little bit wrong is that, see, this is about, this has, everything has to come up. That's all right. Come up. And that's all this, so that's, so if I take this, that's where the angle. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's where the, so there's an angle this way and that way. More like this, and like that. And the bottom of the glass starts higher, and the bowl starts higher. Okay. What's really, everybody's drawings or sketches on here is a little bit different. There's one that's the same. So that I love because, yeah, we all see things a little bit different. And that's the beauty of art.
We all can make our brains of us can make our hands do what we want to it. Their own.
Yes, and you know what? You can.
But
Yeah.
right.
We're all painting to the beat of our own drum, and it's okay. It's okay to do that. We don't have to all look the same. We don't have to all paint, see everything the same way, and that's boring. Well, some of us might. I don't. So even with the glass here, I'm being a little bit, being angular because I know that I'm going to come back in and I'm going to refine all this stuff later. I just need to establish where are my boundaries, where are my parameters, that what's the space that this occupies, like how do I best describe that so that when it comes down to finishing up this painting, making this technically and there's my chocolate kisses. Let me put them in. I just want to mark where they are. Um, and even with those, I'm just gonna, that they have a bit of an angle too. They're not necessarily perfect, perfect little shapes. I think. I'll just leave it. I can always correct that later. Okay, that's good. Oh, and there's that shadow shape. Now that I have that in here, I feel like I can put in some of the shadow. Okay, here. Okay, so I got to mark where that hump is. Let's see, that book is sitting here. Draw through some items. You know what that shape looks like. Oh, So here, like, there's the book that's behind the glass. I'm sorry, what?
It's very hard.
Yeah. What makes it easier is if you kind of draw the reference lines through the glass. Okay? So that, and then you'll get that spot, the spine of that book that's behind it, you'll be able to get that more accurate. And let's see, I'm just going to color that all in gray over here. I didn't put in the line for the line yet, but actually, I could just line in because I know that the line kind of covers that anyway. Now there's some highlights that are going to go through that edge, so. Remember that or not. Okay, so I have that spine, and then I know that it comes, all right, so it's up here. So I have that, right? But I can check the angle. Check that angle, and that's pretty good. I think I made a good decision there, so I'll just go with that. And I'm not going to get into too many of the nitty-gritty details. I mean, you have the spine and the cover, and then, you know, the pages that are inset. Right now, I'm just going to treat it as a stack of rectangles. I'll save those details for later, but just remember that it's a series of parallelograms where all the verticals are vertical, okay? And let's see, that book goes behind the glass, and the corner is somewhere over here, but maybe I can record this angle first. So I know that that has to be parallel to this line, right? The back line of this book. So here, gotta make sure I got it parallel. Parallel. There. This comes. That's that top edge of that book. And I have this book over here that makes this triangle shape on the background there. Okay, so that's good. So I got that. Okay, so I have the edges. I like that. And like I said, you'll get a technically correct, a better shape if you draw through some of the objects. Okay, so now that I have that book in there, oh, well, I want to do the book that's underneath. And I know that, let's see, the angle makes, and it comes under that book like this, and through it, and it comes the spine, the edge of the spine is somewhere over here, right? And then, oh, it goes through that bottom of the, there, I know what that angle is. Sketch that, sketch through, let's go through the glass. There we go. Parallel. And then I know it makes this sharp triangle shape, but let's see, we have this first, that angle. This over here, so there's a triangle there. So right now I'm trying to look at, what's that shape look like? Do I have that right? Do I have the angles right? Again, still drawing through objects. Okay, so then I have this book that's underneath here. comes through stem here, and it extends, let's see, down to here. And then, let's see, we have that. Comes out this way, and it kisses, it kind of kisses the edge there of the bowl. Kind of like this. And it comes all the way here. Let's see. Angles, and then again, here, let's bring the spine of that book is there. And it goes this way off the page. There, 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 here. Actually, that kind of touches there, doesn't it? Like that. So this book is somewhere here. Top and bottom is somewhere over there. It kisses the edge. Comes like that. Okay. The books. That's one complex stack of books. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to, you know, that line goes to what book? Like, what am I looking at here, right? Yeah. You can easily lose your place, right? And then there's the very bottom one. Let's see. And that one, okay, so there's a little triangle. There's a triangle over here. And this is the bottom of that book. And it kind of goes over here. And let's see. Wait a second. Yeah, no, it goes through there. It goes through there and it comes out. Huh. Comes out somewhere over here. That's the angle for that. So the bottom is somewhere over here. It kind of kisses that. Comes up through here. Okay. Got that. I think I got that one. That comes there. That's the vertical. That's the, okay. I need to make that darker. That. There's that. There is this. Hmm? Okay. All right. Oh, so I gotta make a reference to, okay, so where's the line line? Where's the line line? It's like right here, right? Where's that boundary? It comes up, it's not necessarily kissing there, it's coming around, that, like that, and it's this here, and it comes back up over there. All right, and yeah, okay. So you know what? I can block that. The gray value, a darker value, just by using a little bit more. All right, so we got that. Okay. All right. So now I have all pretty much all my major shapes blocked out. And I need to do, the overall shading. I'm not going to do the black is black. I'm just going to do a gray. You can just make it a little bit, just put a little bit more pink, okay, than you would for other values, just to indicate that we're going to. Well, next time, actually, we're going to table that. We're going to finish our drawings. Okay, next time we're going to do what's called we're going to lay in the grisaille, which is like the grayscale, okay, of that maps out the major lights and darks, other than the overall gray tone that we already have there. Then we'll put in our darkest darks and our lightest lights, and then we'll start putting some color. So this is really the hardest part. Is the sketching.
Try to start over, but
Okay.
sorry. I don't know what
Huh. Right. So,
Oh, yeah.
the we want to cover something that we painted, but you can cover it with start with a clean three. Um, you know, I would let it go at least a few hours and give it. It dries pretty fast. Because it's like constant.
I can lay out the drawing with something else, but I didn't really know how to approach it, but it's like, I guess, using the drawing with the fine brush. I started to approach it more.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I could draw on there with a pencil and get it fairly accurate, but I've never done anything like this before. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kind of had a way of working like with pastels and stuff. Sometimes I lay out my drawing with a graphite sketch, and in certain areas, then I would go after really dark lines and fill in the rest of them. So I just don't know what to do. Oh, um, okay. How old is it?
Actually, it'll be dry, so it's not possibly.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how I'm going to get it off without paint on it. It's hard to see.
Let's see. What we can do is, let's see, I have masking tape. We can put a couple of pieces of palette paper on.
Wooden stick.
I might have a, I have a first bag somewhere. Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
I don't know. I filled in the base already because it's kind of magical now. So I don't want to do it. I don't want that one. Cleaner than the, right in the back of the studio.
Oh, yeah. Where the light in the door.
I think part of it too is such a precise person when you draw. That it's not comfortable.
No.
Exactly. It's so easy. Whereas with painting, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes. When you're reading, if you're used to drawing, you're used to a particular medium, whenever you so it's not unusual to be on.
Just one. Okay.
And what, yeah,
Right.
well, all right, let me
Absolutely. That's
see, you see how I drew through the books?
yeah.
Okay, so I take this, watch, I can transfer those angles, right? I can ignore the glass. Okay, so here's the spot. I transfer that over there. See that? I know that these lines have to be parallel. So if I get that one right, then I'm going to get that one right. As long as I keep, because you know that those two boundaries are parallel. Those are parallel. And the back line of the book has to be parallel to that line. This line has to be parallel with that line. So parallel. Forget the fact that it's a book, okay? Forget that. Try to put that out of your mind and look at it as like it's a geometric shape, right? It's a box. It's a box on an angle. Now this, okay, that angle is that way, but this angle is this way. And see how that is overlapping? And it conceals that. This is what screws up. Is that we don't realize we can't see the whole top line of that book because that's concealing it. But if I put that brush there, see, I can imagine it. I can draw through that. Same thing here. But I know this one has to be parallel. If I got this line correct, even though I can't see that, I can still get it correct because I know that these have to be parallel. Here, I can't see the top of the butt. I can see what this shape is. I can see that what that angle is, and I can just transfer that. It's just here. And again, look, this is the same situation. See how that was covering that? The same thing is happening. This is on top of that book. Okay, so I can see the edges here, but I cannot see completely. It goes through that. But see, I know where that is, and I know where that line is. See, so I know. I can't see this part of the sign of that book, but I know it's there. I know it's there. And I know see again, I know what this sheet is here. I can see that there. I didn't put that. Don't get frustrated with us like okay. I know that it's hard to see that. It's hard to see that. It's hard to replicate that. But if you have these two things side by side, right? And I know what that angle is in the picture. If I slide over here, I know that I can because I copy the angle. Yeah, 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 yeah. Parallel.
Yeah.
You know what? Really quick before I go, yes. Monday. I know that
We're here.
What I am saying is, all right, I don't really get that work out. You just have to check, is that parallel to that? It looks like it might not be. This comes down a little bit, so I might have to, you might have to adjust a little bit. Same thing with this. Right here. That's a little bit, yeah. Oh, I see. And I'm a little narrower than I get. Yeah, like I put, like say I put like, it's not, like that. Something. This, you can leave it with that. That's how we go. This is. I see it. And that way, so you don't need to do anything a little more over one. And your angles and these with your side. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll practice. I got yes.
Get started.
Oh, it's great.
Great.
Awesome. You know, I like that. It's not exactly what laser precision. I like that because it's affordable. It's look at it. For what I want to be able to do. Yeah, well, relax. Forcing you to go with a beat like
Yes.
you can't do that. Because you're not using a fine needle implement. Get away from that.
Yeah, no, I last week, but that was usually, I think most of my
Only every
meetings,
12 hours,
most of my meetings probably been working.
I was when you
Although I'm not, I don't have much confidence in it. Gonna be very good at it. Good. Just with a brush and nothing to pull back, like a straight edge.
yeah, no, um,
But,
it's a great, relying on, 3 inches and all that.
I mean,
Trying to feel comfortable with anything under, without it. But it's possible to get there.
I mean, when I said that, I've never heard it from Mike, I mean, I think that this, thing from we have here. But
Right.
then, like movies or film stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. Okay, so you're familiar with citing techniques, then? Citing techniques,
So I think that,
citing techniques, which I'm showing you before.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they were-
well, also when there's some frame, and there's not like that very easy. But when you're switching the shapes of the canvas are different from the drawing or things like that. You can't do it a lot.
Well, yeah, it's a little different. But the proportions are very close.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it another shot. Okay, have a good one.